That team their first trip in back on April the 26th. He got the win in a 3-0 decision. First pitch is strike one to Nate McLouth, and this game is underway. Owings in that 8-2 victory over Atlanta put him 3-0 career-wise against the Braves. He went 7 innings, allowed 6 hits and 1 run. He struck out 6 batters and walked 3. Walks have certainly been a problem for Owings so far this year. Showed you the numbers, only 3 runs allowed his last 2 starts, but in those 11 1/3 frames, he has walked 7 batters, and the pitch count has gotten very high very early because of it.
Well, you know, Tom, anytime you have a scouting report like that beginning to circulate around, the hitters are going to be a little more patient with you.
In the air down the right field line, and that ball is bending foul.
Pretty quick bat right there by Nate McLouth. I'll tell you, McLouth was batting in the number 3 spot when he came over from the Pittsburgh Pirates in the trade that brought him to Atlanta just a few weeks ago. And he loves it now in the number 1 spot. Always thinks he's a much better leadoff hitter than he is a number 3 hitter. They needed him in Pittsburgh in that spot, but he's back where he belongs, at least in his eyes.
2-2 on McLouth, leading off the ball game, and it's grounded foul, and we'll do it again.
But getting back to the scouting report, there's so much information that circulates around about hitters and pitchers. Every game is on television. It's on video. You can call up whatever you want. You've got live scouts in the stands watching. And when you have something as obvious as what Micah Owings has gone through, which is control problems, those hitters are going to take their time and patience at the plate. They're going to know that you're trying to pick at the corners, and there's no reason for them to be up there very aggressive, because that and the other thing is that Micah Owings doesn't have one pitch that is a dominant pitch. He doesn't have a strikeout fastball or a strikeout slider. He's a guy that's going to get you to hit his pitch, hopefully off the center of the bat.
3-2 delivery on the way, and it's a roller up the first base line. It stays fair, and Owings alertly, while it's on the line, picks it up and tags out McLouth. Take a look at the Reds behind Owings defensively, presented by Ford. Again, it's Nix, Taveras, and Bruce, left, center, and right. Hairston, Gonzalez, Phillips, and Hernandez, third to first. Owings and Ryan Hannigan, the battery. Last year in games started by the number 5 starter in the rotation, and Lord knows the Reds had a pile of those guys last year. The team went 4-21 in those games. Micah Owings, in games that he has started as the number 5 starter here in 09, he hasn't won 4, but the team has won 4. So if he gets a victory here tonight, here you are 2 weeks into June, and already with more team wins out of that slot than you had all of last season, in a far improved ERA.
Or last year, that 5th spot, it seemed like every 5th day out there was an experiment and an adventure. And there was the mad scientist conducting the experiments last year every 5th day. He didn't like that white coat.
1-1 on Yunel Escobar. Of course, Dusty Baker on the off day a couple of days ago celebrated his 60th birthday. And I know for many out there that remember Dusty as a player, he was an outstanding player in his major league career. I'm sure they find it hard to believe that he is now 60 years young. 2-1 on Escobar. Broken bat roller to the left of Alex Gonzalez, and that's out number 2.
Well, so far so good for Micah Owings. He looks like he's able to locate his fastball, and his fastball's not overpowering, but it's fast enough to get most major league hitters out. 90 to 91 miles an hour, a little bit of sinking action. Occasionally he'll work under that ball and try to cut it into a right-handed hitter. But it's all about command, and I'm not really sure why, Tom, but it seems like that number 5 starter seems to be under a microscope a lot more than everybody else in the rotation. Maybe because he hasn't established himself as a guy year after year that is an every fifth-day major league pitcher. But I know that when I was a fifth starter, it seemed like you're pitching for your major league life every time you're out there, and that's the kind of pressure that sometimes can work against you.
Breaking ball low to Chipper Jones. 2 balls and no strikes.
What works against you in this lineup is all these left-handers that Bobby Cox runs out there, lefty after lefty after lefty. Jones, McCann, Anderson, Kochman, and finally a right-hander in Francoeur. 4 of them in a row tonight.
We had a lengthy conversation on that very topic with Bobby Cox a couple of weeks ago in Philadelphia. Here's a 2-0 to Chipper, and it's taken ball 3. A lot of managers, they like the lefty righty because later in the game the opposing manager, if you have all these lefties bunched up, can bring a lefty from the pen to face 3, 4, 5 guys in a row. There's a strike to Jones, and Bobby Cox sort of snickered when I asked him about it. He said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "I'm not worried about what the opposing manager is doing in the 7th inning. I'm putting those left-handed hitters in there to do damage against a starting pitcher and go score 5, 6, 7 off him." There's ball 4 to Chipper with 2 away in the inning.
Well, I guess if you have so many left-handers in your lineup like Bobby Cox has this year, you couldn't break them up even if you wanted to. You've got to bat Chipper Jones number 3, and in this lineup, Brian McCann is your most obvious number 4 hitter. Garrett Anderson, they signed him to put up some numbers. Hasn't done that yet, but he's got to be in the middle of the lineup as well. So there's really nowhere that he can break them up except with Jeff Francoeur, who's simply not the type of hitter that you can put in the middle of the lineup, at least not yet.
Here's Brian McCann. He is the best Atlanta Braves hitter in this lineup. And there's a strike. McCann at .331, 6 home runs, 26 knocked in. He had the eye problem going back into spring training. He had corrective surgery some time back, and his eyes started to get very dry. Tried contact lenses along with that corrective surgery. The eyes got drier. And so they specially made those glasses that he's wearing, that he'll wear not only at the plate, but wears them underneath the catcher's mask. That took some time to get used to underneath the mask. Get a lot of heat in there and a lot of perspiration.
Yeah, he hasn't even gone through the hot time of the season yet. I'm not sure if in this league there's anywhere hotter consistently than Atlanta, and more humid. I need those little Rain-X wipes, to keep the fog off of them.
It's not a bad idea. You ought to run it by him tomorrow.
I probably already thought of that, you think?
I don't know. You're a pretty sharp guy, and you're not in Atlanta regularly. There's a strike on the outside corner.
I might have some in my glove box.
Well, wait till he leaves town.
Okay.
And then when the bus is on its way out of here tomorrow,
I'll stick some underneath the windshield.
It's a good idea. McCann's been going a little longer than a month now since he was fitted with those glasses and came back off the disabled list after a short rehab stint. First game was May the 8th, and in that game in Philadelphia, he had to take the glasses off during the game when he was on defense because it kept fogging up. But apparently that night, the next day, and ever since, it's worked out well for him. One and two on McCann. Fouled back out of play. Reds and the Braves' final game of this series is tomorrow. A 12:35 first pitch. No television tomorrow, so we invite you to join us over on the radio side. It'll be Matt Maloney. He's been so impressive, the rookie left-hander, against Tommy Hanson, a young right-hander for Atlanta. High pop-up, playable for who? Hannigan there will give way to Hernandez, and that is that. One walk, one left. The Reds come to bat in the bottom of the first inning when we return. Does it get any better than that? No. Let's take a look at the Reds starting lineup tonight. Presented by U.S. Bank. Willie Taveras in center. Alex Gonzalez at short. Brandon Phillips at second. Lance Nix knocked in 3 last night. He's a cleanup hitter. Ramon Hernandez again at first. Jay Bruce in right. A louder third of Jerry Hairston Jr. Ryan Hannigan. And Mike Owings against Javier Vasquez.
If you look at the numbers on Javier Vasquez, you're not all that impressed. After all, he's only 4-5. His earned run average is pretty good at 3.3, but nothing stellar. But look at the strikeouts. 105 strikeouts already, leads the National League, and he is among the most prolific strikeout pitchers in all of baseball since the year 2000. Just a couple of years after he broke into the major leagues back with the Montreal Expos.
Willie Taveras to lead things off. He looks at a strike, and Vasquez is a strike machine. You saw the 16 walks all year long. Among all active pitchers, he has the 5th most strikeouts. Well, look at that number for Randy Johnson. Closing in on 4,900. That is second all time, second only, of course, to Nolan Ryan. Atlanta defensively. Brought to you by Ford. McLeod flanked by Anderson and Brancourt in the outfield. Jones and Kochman on the corners of the infield, with Yunel Escobar and Kelly Johnson up the middle, and Brian McCann hanging aside. So a weak ground ball from Taveras. And here's Alex Gonzalez at 224, a pair of home runs, 20 RBIs. Gonzalez had that 2-run double, his lone hit in the 4-run 8th inning last night, giving him 500 career runs batted in. This one popped up to McLeod for the second out of the inning. 3 pitches, 2 outs for Javier Vasquez.
Well, you know, maybe the scouting report on Javier Vasquez is exactly the opposite of what it is for Michael Owings. Owings doesn't throw a lot of strikes, so the batters are going to be a little more patient. Vasquez throws nothing but strikes, so you might as well go out there hacking, because if you don't, you're going to be 0-1, 0-2 behind the count all night long. He has not walked a batter in his last 2 ball games. And the interesting thing about him, he gets a lot of strikeouts, but he doesn't have one dominant pitch. He gets strikeouts on all of them. His fastball, which isn't all that excessive, his curveball, which is a good one, and a great changeup.
Brandon Phillips with 2 down and nobody on, looks at a fastball strike.
Well, here's how much Vasquez throws strikes. He's had 13 starts. In 11 of them, he's walked 2 or fewer batters. That is getting it done.
That is very impressive.
You know what? I feel like I missed the opportunity. I should have got my whole 13-year-old team to make sure they dialed us in and watch this ball game tonight and watch Javier Vasquez pitch, because this is the way every coach of a young team wants your pitcher to go after the hitters. Strike after strike after strike.
Atlanta is Vasquez's 5th major league team. As Chris mentioned, he broke in with Montreal, then he went to the New York Yankees, was traded to Arizona, and they moved him to the White Sox before he was required by Atlanta during the offseason in a big deal coming over from Chicago. Braves trying to revamp a starting rotation that for the first time in many, many years was not a good one last year. Jair Jurgens, they can build around him, as you see the wins and losses for Vasquez over the last 5 seasons.
Tom, what they did really over the wintertime is that last year the Braves had so many injuries to their pitching staff. They were constantly putting Band-Aids in that rotation that they decided to go out and get 2 durable pitchers. And they got the 2 most durable pitchers on the market in Javier Vasquez and Derek Lowe. I mean, these guys stay off the disabled list. They make their starts, and it's a whole lot easier to manage if you're Bobby Cox, but you don't worry about it.
Grounded down to Chipper, and a 1-2-3 opening inning for Vasquez. No score at the end of 1. for serious injuries. The ignition switch. The Reds need that on their offense, and getting Willie Taveras going like we saw him, that run up through Arizona, and then it came to a screeching halt the following series in San Diego. Reds running game, because of infrequently getting runners on base, has really come to a complete standstill. I mean, there was a time they were among the league leaders. Then all of a sudden, Taveras and Hairston Jr., just to name two, have had a tough time getting to first base. On the outside corner, it's 1-2 to Garrett Anderson, leading off the Atlanta second inning.
Yeah, usually, Tom, you see those teams that are leading the league or among the league leaders in stolen bases. They've always got that one guy that has about 75% of the stolen bases of everybody on the ball club. And then from there on, the emphasis is on trying to stop that guy's run, and the other guys kind of sneak up on you a little bit. That was the guy that Willie Taveras is supposed to be. But it's all a function of being able to get on base.
Reds with 33 steals as a team, right in basically the middle of the pack. That one grounded to the right side. You have the New York Mets, who lead the league with 64 stolen bases. Of course, they have both Jose Reyes along with Luis Castillo. David Wright can steal some bases. Beltran steals some bases. The Dodgers have 56. Arizona with 56. And another team that does a lot of banging and a lot of running, the defending world champion Philadelphia Phillies. They're banging on the door of 50 for the year. Kochman activated off the disabled list before the game last night. Had a base hit his first time up, wound up on base 3 times, a walk and 2 hits. Grounded by a diving Hairston into left field. First hit for Atlanta, first hit in fact for either team. Now Jeff Rancourt. Rancourt at 250, 4 home runs, 30 runs batted in. He knocked in a run with an infield hit in the 8th inning off David Weathers last night. Of course, he had a huge at bat in the 6th inning when the Reds had a 3-1 lead at the time. Braves had the bases loaded with only 1 out, and Rancourt ended that 6th inning with a ground ball double play to third. Fisted into shallow center field, and Taveras got a good break on it. 2 away in the inning.
Well, he just outran that ball. I mean, he got a good break on it. He comes in and he continues to come in, then really pours it on about halfway in towards the infield right there. That ball sounded like a sponge when it came off the bat. Those sponge balls don't go too far.
No. Infrequently do we talk about players on other teams when the Reds aren't playing them, and especially players in other leagues. But one thing that caught my eye this morning, Chris, was the start so far this season by Tim Wakefield. Won his 9th game of the year last night against 3 losses. I mean, here's a guy that's been around for 20 years in the big leagues and has had his best seasons, of course, since going to Boston, but has never been to an all-star game. And I know you got to know Tim Wakefield a little bit back in his National League days. I'm not sure there's one guy you'd root for to make an all-star team at this point in his career more than Tim Wakefield. He has had one heck of a career. Roller by Owings. He can't find it. Now he does, but not in time to get the runner at first. Johnson.
Well, they're going to give him an error on that. Boy, that's unusual, because usually everything that goes right back through the box is given a base hit, because there's always an odd hop that comes off that mound. You're not sure if it's coming off the grass or coming off the mound. This one looks like it's fieldable, but it's a short hop you see right there, and the ball skips a little bit. But still, as a pitcher, even if he gets a base hit on that by the official score, you still feel like, man, oh man, that's an out to get me out of the inning right now, and now I've got to, continue to pitch. I'm hoping to have the pitcher lead off the next inning. Instead, I've got Vasquez coming up here, hopefully for the third out here in the second.
Vasquez just 2 hits in 23 at bats, but both of his hits have been doubles, and he's knocked in 2 runs. Two on, 2 out, no score. We're in the second. Strike 1 to Vasquez.
Let's get back to Tim Wakefield for a second, because he's having a great year. I mean, he's won 9 ball games now. He's 9-3. His earned run average, though, is 4.39. So if you're the manager of the American League and you really want to win this ball game because it means something to you now with the home and field advantage, and do you bring a guy like Wakefield because you're really not sure what you're going to get with a knuckleball pitcher? Yep. Or do you bring some guy that throws about 100 miles an hour and gives you 1 inning?
It's a good question.
That's what I mean. If it's up to the fans' vote, chances are they'll look at the number of wins and they would punch out Tim Wakefield and say, yeah, he earned it. But if you're the manager, knowing how these all-star games go, all you need is 1 good frame from this guy.
On the ground to Brandon Phillips, and he'll throw out Vasquez to end the inning. And then furthermore, you got to find somebody who can catch the thing.
Yeah. Let me know how that goes.
Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. By JTM, food, family, fun. JTM. And by Jeep. You talk, we listen. It's a new day. Have fun out there. Jeep.
Welcome back to Great American Ballpark. No score at the end of an inning and a half. The Reds will send up Lance Nix, Ramon Hernandez, and Jay Bruce against Javier Vasquez, who had a perfect first inning. Reds and Braves again tomorrow afternoon, and then the White Sox come to town for interleague play over the weekend beginning on Friday night. Strike 1 to Lance Nix. And of course, as part of this weekend's series against Chicago, Saturday the Gillette Civil Rights Game festivities will officially kick off beginning Friday night. Sugar Ray Leonard will give a motivational speech following the game on Friday night, just prior to the fireworks. One of the greatest fighters in the history of that sport, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Did anybody ever lay a glove on him?
Roberto Duran and Thomas Hearns hit him a couple of times.
Yeah, I guess you're right there, but man, oh man. He was a. You couldn't pick him out of a lineup and say he was a boxer.
No. Of course, the fight that everybody in this part of the country and really all over the world wanted to see was Aaron Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard, and for whatever reason or reasons it never came about. Leonard kept fluctuating up and down, you know, middleweight, light middleweight, able to adjust his weight accordingly depending on who he was going to fight and try to win another title. And Aaron Pryor was considered to be right there with Leonard pound for pound as the best boxer in the world. Swing and a miss by Ramon Hernandez. Of course, Pryor was going toe-to-toe with the great Alexis Arguello. Pryor, sees something. In there, strike. Been a lot of great boxers come out of this city. Many, 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 many great boxers. All the great work that Buddy La Rosa and so many others have done here in Cincinnati. Of course, the most legendary name perhaps of all would be Ezra Charles. There's a roller down to third. And Jones will throw out Hernandez, and Vasquez making it look easy so far. 5 up, 5 down. Well, that beautiful new Toyota Tundra waiting for somebody to take it home if a Reds player hits the sign in left center or right center tonight. Shane Pickett will win it. Register for your chance to win during an upcoming game at your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Breaking ball high and away. Ball 1 to Jay Bruce. Fooled badly on the pitch there. Bruce had a nice night at the plate last night. Hit that rocket into right center field that McLeod made a leaping catch, crashing into the wall to take away a double. Bruce walked twice, once intentionally, and then led off the 4-run 8th inning with a single and later scored. 1-2 to Jay Bruce. Popped up into foul ground off to the third base side. It's 2-2 on Bruce. Three and two to Jay Bruce with 2 down and nobody on. In the air right field. Did Bruce get enough of it? Back to the wall is Francoeur. He got enough. Bruce, number 16 on the year, and the Reds lead 1-0.
Now this is a majestic home run right here. It gets high, it gets far, it goes a long way right there, and he gets a ball up. Vasquez does, and Jay Bruce puts a nice, concise swing on it. And he brought the crowd to his feet with that swing. Boy, that ball, that's a great trajectory. I mean, it kind of went off and then began to really rise, and when he hits them, they're far enough.
Hairston, the first pitch swing and a fly ball to Nate McLouth, and that will end the inning. But a long one by Jay Bruce makes it 1-0 Reds. In the top of the third, stick around. Aaron Harang will join us from the Reds dugout. Told you Aaron Harang kind enough to join us from down in the Reds dugout, and we were joking in between innings. Aaron, you made the comment, did I pitch here last night? I mean, man, 35 pitches, 28 strikes. Can you remember a game where you had that kind of strike to ball ratio?
Yeah, actually, I do remember one. It was a couple years ago against Baltimore. I threw 128 pitches and had 98 strikes.
Oh. Now, let me ask you a question. I asked Chris this last night. And, I mean, you have always been known as a strike thrower, especially in recent years here with the Reds, as you've established yourself as one of the league's premier pitchers. But do you think it would be difficult for most pitchers to walk out to a mound? Because I think at one point last night you threw 14 straight strikes to begin the game. Do you think a lot of guys could walk out there on the mound and throw 14 straight strikes, even without a batter in the box?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. I know coming up with the Rangers, they had a drill, or they had the plate broken down, and we had a bet with the pitching rover over there in the minor leagues that how many we could throw right down and center cut the plate. And I think I was 7 for 10. Wow. I mean, center cutting the plate. So it's definitely not easy.
What kind of stuff did you feel like you had in the bullpen, Aaron? Because sometimes you go in the bullpen, you warm up, you don't feel well, then you get out on the mound, all of a sudden it clicks in.
Yeah, I didn't feel. I felt good, like with my stuff, location-wise, I was off. Usually when that happens in the bullpen, I know it's going to be a pretty good game.
Aaron, when you look at the ball club right now, and much has been made about not having Joey Votto and the offensive struggles of the team since he went down, not having Encarnacion really since the third week of April. The psyche of this club right now, getting that victory last night to get a game over 500, how would you describe it?
Well, I think going into it, I think a lot of guys were, we were pretty disappointed in ourselves with losing that last game in Washington. And then, going into Kansas City and getting swept by them, I think, that kind of gave us a little reality check. And the fact that, we know we're a better team than that. And we went in, I think we're a little too light. I know the offense was struggling a little bit. And, the guys, we had an off day, and I think it was good for everybody, to just kind of get that break and come back in refreshed yesterday. And the bats came alive. So it was a good atmosphere last night after the game. Everybody was kind of psyched up, and so I mean, that's what we're going to have to do. And, you know, yeah, it's tough with not having guys, your regular guys in there, but we got guys that are good enough to fill in those positions, and, you know, that's what we've been doing while they're gone, and, you know, we can't wait to get them back.
You know, Aaron, if you play in a ball club where the offense is struggling, and this one has struggled from time to time throughout the season, and you're missing main guys in the middle of the order and you don't score a lot of runs, you still can't let that worry you when you're on the mound, even though you know that your margin of error out there is very slim. If you give up a 4 or 5 spot in an inning, it might be all the road. But you can't let that bother you when you're on the hill.
No, you definitely can't. You know, I think last year I did that too much. Put too much pressure on myself to go out there and be too perfect. And you know, this year I've just gone out there with the attitude that, you know, hey, I might give up runs, but as long as I keep it to a minimum, that's all that matters. And, you know, just have to rely on the offense to be there behind me, and, you know, just make sure I'm executing every pitch, one pitch at a time.
2-1 on Yunel Escobar. A leadoff walk issued to Nate McLouth, with the Reds leading 1-0 here in the top of the 3rd inning. You know, Aaron, I'm kind of curious. We can sit up here and watch games and try to describe what we see. You know, the one common theme we've heard from a lot of fans talking about this ball club, runner on the go and it's fouled out of play, and, you know, the sense of a different mentality with this team. And I'm not asking you about what happened last year or years up until this year, but do you sense a different mental attitude with this Reds team in 2009?
Yes.
Why?
You know, I think we have a group of guys, a core of guys that, you know, realize this is a chance for us to win. You know, we've been in it before. It was 06 was the last time we were in it, right till the end. We had a good group of guys then. This is the best pitching we've had since I've been here. And, you know, our pitching is going to take us where we need to go. If our starters and our, you know, bullpen if we can keep us in the game, our offense is going to be there. You know, so if we can make those routine plays and, you know, put 4 or 5 runs up a night, I mean, we're going to be up there with the, you know, top of the league in wins at come the end of the season.
Aaron, you've got a couple of young guys in the rotation right now. I mean, Micah Owings doesn't have all that much major league experience. Matt Maloney, really a greenhorn as far as Major League Baseball goes. For that matter, Johnny Cueto and Edinson Volquez are still young guys. You're kind of the elder statesman out there. Do you wear the badge of maybe a little extra pressure, or do you help guide them? What is your role as the main guy in the pitching rotation?
Well, this one blasted into center field, and that is a 2-run home run on a 3-2 pitch by Yunel Escobar. And Atlanta's taken a 2-1 lead here in the 3rd inning.
You know, to get to your question, you know, I think last year I kind of put myself in a situation, almost putting too much pressure on myself to try and lead by example, by just going out and getting it done. And, you know, I wasn't as focused. I was trying to be way too fine. And this year, working on things, talking with Dick Pohl, talking with Dusty, and, you know, talking with the sports psychologist guy we had coming to spring training. You know, I've just come to the conclusion that, you know, I can go out and do what I can do, and that's it. As long as I keep us in the game, you know, go out and make my pitches and just be aggressive. You know, hopefully these young guys see that and realize that, you know, you don't have to go out and be too fine. You know, hitters are going to get themselves out as long as you can make a quality pitch. You know, you're going to get guys out. You know, you're going to give up your hits. You're going to give up your runs. You know, in this ballpark, you're going to give up your home runs. But you can't overanalyze. You can't try and be too fine. Otherwise, you're just going to stress yourself out and, you know, go out there and make mistakes trying to be perfect.
2-1 pitch to Jones, popped up into short left field. Gonzalez out to get it, and that's a first out here in the Atlanta third inning.
All right, Aaron, let's talk about something that I know you like to talk about. I mean, your batting average is up there this year. You're hitting a .148 now. You were a .130 last year. It seems like if you were to chart your batting average over your major league career, I mean, it looks like the way I would want my 401k looking. I mean, it's going straight up. You're working hard at it, aren't you?
Yeah, we work at it quite a bit. I know gotten some slack. I know Dunner popped off a couple of weeks ago joking about how bad of a hitter I am, and I know it was in one ESPN, the magazine or whatever, talking about I'm one of the worst hitting pitchers. So, you know, I mean, I'm out there. I'm trying. I've never been the best hitter, and you know, as long as I get my bunts down, it really doesn't matter. So,
I mean, you're 6'7". That's a big strike zone to cover.
Yeah, it's a lot of space. But yeah, I've been working on it, and working on just driving the ball and hitting it the other way, not so much trying to pull. I know early on, getting this ballpark, and after some early BP, putting them up in the seats, you have a tendency to want to pull off. So I've just been working on putting the ball in play, and you know, when you put it in play, things happen.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about last night. Go back to that anyway. 2-hour rain delay. There was no chance you were coming back in the ball game, right?
I was praying. Put it that way. I was in there, and they told me, hey, if this gets over an hour, you know, that we're probably gonna have to shut it down. And so I didn't fight him as much as I did against in that Houston game. So.
In the air towards Jay Bruce, and that is the second out of the inning. Well, with 2 away, we're going to let you get going here, Aaron. And you know, I know I'm speaking on behalf of not just the Reds, but the Reds fans and so many that can't even come to ball games with any regularity at all. But all the phenomenal work that you and your family have done for so many in this area during your tenure, and how active you all have become here in Cincinnati and the community, and all the wonderful things that you've done, and the new field that just opened for those with disabilities. And we can't thank you enough for the time of night, and for all that you've done and all that you continue to do.
Well, thank you. You know, it means a lot to us what we're doing. You know, Cincinnati's been good to us since I've come over here, so it means a lot to be able to get out and, you know, give back to the community, and you know, hope I'm here for a while to keep doing it. So.
Well, I don't have any much doubt about that. So go out and get some wins and get this team some wins. Thanks for the time tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good work, Aaron.
All right, thanks, guys.
Aaron Harang, kind enough to join us from down in the Reds dugout tonight. Well, he's always such a thoughtful guy, you know. You sit around and talk to him, Chris. It doesn't matter if you're in the clubhouse, if you're out on the field during BP, if you're on one of the team charters on the airplane. He's the same all the time. There's a ground ball down at third. What a play by Hairston, and nearly able to get Anderson, but his throw just beyond the reach of a stretching Ramon Hernandez. That'll be an infield hit.
The ball hit very softly by Garrett Anderson. Not much of speed out of Garrett Anderson anymore, and if that ball is able to get it into first base on a fly, he probably has his man. But Hernandez, who has picked just about everything that has been in the dirt down there lately, just unable to come up with that one.
So a leadoff walk here in the third inning has come back to hurt Micah Owings. Went to 3-2 on the next batter, Yunel Escobar, before he clubbed a 2-run home run to give Atlanta this 1-run lead. And now with 2 outs after the infield hit, here's Casey Kochman, grounded foul. Kochman singled by a diving Jerry Hairston Jr. his first time up. And again, that pitch count for Micah Owings is starting to really pile up. 2 pitches shy of 60, and we're only in the third inning.
Well, he's gone 3 balls to Nate McLouth both times up. He went 3-2 to Escobar. That was a full count home run, and he's run the count up quite a bit. Even if he gets a first pitch strike in there, the second pitch is oftentimes ball 1. Although he jumps ahead of Kochman 0-2.
It really is amazing when you jump into some of the statistical analysis of baseball. You hear pitching coaches preach all the time about throwing that first pitch for a strike. And then you start looking, and Chris, I know you do this a lot, at batting averages of players that start a count ahead 1-0, behind 0-1. and then how the count subsequently plays out and how those batting averages play out. And really, when you look at it, in many ways, the third pitch of the at-bat has become almost as critical as the first pitch of the at-bat, depending on where you are after the first two pitches. I mean, if you're ahead 0-2, you've really got a guy around the neck. But just because you get ahead strike one, if the next pitch is ball one, it is staggering then the difference on what happens in the third pitch of the at-bat.
You're exactly right, because you don't want to fall behind again. Oftentimes pitchers are throwing fastballs on that 1-1 count. And the other thing that goes along with that, Tom, is that there's so much information out there that if you have a regular sequence that you like to throw, if you're a pitcher and you like to throw certain pitches on 1-1 counts and certain different pitches on 2-1 counts, they know about it. They know your tendencies, and it's probably pasted on a bulletin board in the clubhouse ahead of time. So that's why you're always, as a pitcher, trying to stay ahead of the game. You're trying to outguess the opposition, but at the same time use your good stuff in order to try to stay with your strength. You know, that home run that was hit by Escobar, it wasn't exactly a blast. Yes, he hit it out to center field, but the ball carries well here, carrying much better tonight than it was last night. The light breeze that is here, the prevailing breeze coming down the river, taking it out there, that can make you very gun shy, especially if you're Micah Owings. You've given up some home runs on the year. You know you walk guys, you're pitching around a little bit, and that can make you even more tentative about coming right after the hitters when you see a ball jump out of the yard like that. If you're pitching in Atlanta, that ball is caught at the warning track.
If that.
Yeah, you're right.
That is a big ballpark, and it seems like it plays even far larger than the dimensions that they have pasted up on the outfield walls in Atlanta.
It was interesting talking to David Ross before the ball game. He says it's a great place to catch because of that. Because when you get behind a hitter in Atlanta and you're calling the signs for your pitcher, it's a lot easier to throw a four-seam fastball up and out over the plate and say, here. I mean, if you're this side of Albert Pujols, go ahead and hit it, and we'll let you hit it, see how far you can hit it to left center field there. And most balls stay in the yard. Here, it's a completely different story.
This will be the ninth pitch in this at bat. Micah Owings against Casey Kochman. With a runner at first, Garrett Anderson. 2 runs in the Atlanta third. And it's into deep right center field. Tavares back to the track, and he'll have room to end the inning. 2 runs, 2 hits. Middle of the third, a 2-1 Atlanta lead. Well, Cincinnati born and bred from LaSalle High School, the head basketball coach of the University of Cincinnati Bearcats. Mick Cronin kind enough to join us. How you doing, man?
Back to your old days when you used to announce the games. You still got the ringtone and everything. It's good to see you guys.
Oh, man, I love doing those UC basketball games all those years. Boy, those were good days.
We're going to make you jealous again this year.
Well, good.
A lot of wins coming down the pike for the Bearcats.
And you're the only guy that has a contract, I think, that comes close to like Bob Castellini's contract now. I mean, how long's that deal you decide? Through what? 2014.
I tried to get for 2034. I shot for 34. We stuck with 14. It's no secret that everybody knows I want to be here. It's just it's an honor to be the coach at your hometown university, as well for me as my alma mater.
Well, you know, I mean, all the criteria that not just wins and losses, but all the things that encompass being a head coach in any sport, really, at a major university, and a state university, and a great one like the University of Cincinnati. I mean, obviously, this extension was warranted. We're very happy for you. Congratulations. What does that mean for you now, recruiting-wise?
Well, you know it's all about recruiting.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was just talking to your dad. We got to get. He's got that Carolina blue in him out there still a little bit.
Get that Bearcat stuff.
Yeah, we got to get red and black on him. But well, it's important that recruits know that you're going to be there. This day and age, I mean, all you have to do is follow college basketball a little bit to realize coaches have been known to jump around now and then.
Yep.
And there's not. I think I'm the only guy in a major conference that's coaching in his hometown and as well at his alma mater. And obviously, you know, I'm here tonight with my father, my brother, my sister, my daughter. I'm not looking to ever leave Cincinnati. So everything we've done in the first 3 years of rebuilding the program has been with a long-term thought process. But glad that's over. Really looking forward to this season. We're going to have an exciting team.
Tell us about the team this coming year.
Well, first of all, I'm going to sneak this in. It's the first time you get season tickets for $180 this year. We got some new exciting things. Well, obviously, we're trying to get some people in the upper deck, and the Bearcat Lair package is going to be nice and cheap for people. But we're going to be guard heavy. We're going to have a lot of quickness. Be an exciting team. And the way I like to play, we're going to be able to press and be more aggressive, push the ball up and down the floor. We'll still be a little bit young in the backcourt other than Deontay Vaughn, but it's nice to have a returning core of guys that believe in the program. And they've been able to get through the Big East, and experience is big in our league.
Well, you're not lying. I mean, I don't have to tell you, but I mean, I think now people in Cincinnati, since you've got this thing going in the right direction, increasing the win total, being extremely competitive in the conference, but you realize when you watch Big East basketball, you know, night in and night out over the full course of now, how many years is it now? 4 years, 3 years?
4 years in the Big East.
Okay,
3 for me.
You realize it is just, you better bring your A game every night, right?
Well, you better have a top 20 team. And if you want to win the conference, you might want to be top 5. I think Villanova will probably pick to win it this year, return a lot of guys off their Final Four team. After that, I think it's pretty wide open this season. It'll be interesting to see our selections in the preseason, where everybody kind of picks the teams. I suspect we'll be in the 5 to 8 range with a lot of guys returning, and everybody knows we had Kazmir Wright sitting out, as well as Ibrahim Thomas from Oklahoma State, was 6'11", and was all freshman in the Big 12. And is is extremely fast, long player. That's going to be exciting for us. And we had 2 great recruits already in Jaquan Parker and Sean Kilpatrick. But it's definitely exciting times. So we start off the season in Maui this year. So we'll get a lot of early exposure and get us back on the national scene and come back home and fill up Fifth Third Arena.
Now, Mick, you cut your teeth as an assistant coach for Bob Huggins and Rick Pitino. Why don't you contrast their coaching styles for me, will you?
Just a tad. Similar coaching styles, totally different dressing styles.
Oh, yeah.
As you would know, if you have a television set out there, very, very different in their attire and probably in their workout regimen.
Really, there's a surprise.
There's a real big surprise. Right. But you know, and it's the best part about it is I get to coach against them now, and you know, when you win, you get the invite. When you lose, you get the invite. See, Louisville beat us this year. This Saturday morning, I'm playing golf with Coach Pitino. We beat them last year at Louisville. No golf invite. There's no golf invite. I've yet to receive an invite from Hugs down to West Virginia. We've been fortunate enough to get a couple wins against them. But when you get the win, you get the when you get the loss, you get the invite.
Well, man, I'm going to be right down there rooting for you guys. You know I'm a big fan of you. There's nothing better in this town in the winter, man, when you guys are winning basketball games.
I appreciate you guys having me. I appreciate the support.
Congratulations. average record. We bring that up, of course, because Ryan Hannigan hitting up over 300, got a base hit his first time up tonight. But who holds the Reds rookie batting average record? Now, I have no idea what the answer to this question is. I have no clue, but I remember one guy that I don't know if he had enough at bats to qualify as a rookie. Do you remember the first year that Tracy Jones came to the major leagues?
Yes, I do.
And he was hitting like in the 350s or the 360s or something just ridiculous. That ball blistered into left center field, and it gets by Willie Taveras. And Francoeur is going to end up at third base. That'll be a single and a two-base error on Taveras.
Now the ball in the gap, and Taveras has the speed to get over there, and he just simply overruns the ball. Doesn't stay down on it, and you can call it nonchalant. I don't know. Maybe it took a bad hop on him, but that certainly should have been kept to a single based on his ability to cover the gap. As it stands, Owings now has a runner 90 feet away.
Reds already trailing 2-1. Runner at third, nobody out to begin this fourth inning. And here's Kelly Johnson. This becomes an extremely important batter if you have any hopes of getting out of this inning unscathed. You have the pitcher Vasquez on deck, who's not a good hitter, nor is he a terrible hitter, but certainly a potential strikeout in that number 9 hole if you can get Johnson out without the runner coming in from third. 2-0. Well, they called it a strike. Two and one on Kelly Johnson, who reached on an error by the pitcher Micah Owings on that comebacker his first time up. See, 3 of 7 with a runner at third and less than 2 men out for Kelly Johnson. They're in on the corners. In the air, short left center field. Nitz has a good arm. Francoeur will not even think about it. So that's a first out of the inning with a pitcher coming up.
You know, normally, Tom, when you lead off an inning with a guy at third base and nobody out, you're thinking more about along the lines of damage control. You just don't want to think, all right, I'm going to strike out the next 3 batters and get out of the inning. What you think is, all right, if that run scores, that's fine, but I'm not letting up anything else. But when you're at the bottom of the order like this, you just retire the number 8 hitter. Now you've got the pitcher up here. This is the strikeout that you want. And then obviously you go after Nate McLaughlin, you roll the lineup over. So this is encouraging now for Micah Owings. He can pick Taveras up, and maybe Taveras later in the ball game can pick him up.
So now the infield draws in all 4 positions. Hairston, Gonzalez, Phillips, and Hernandez. The pitcher Vasquez digging in. And a first pitch fastball on the outside corner, a strike. Now Vasquez put the ball in play, grounding out to Brandon Phillips. Stranding 2, ending the second inning. Vasquez has only struck out 5 times so far this year in 24 at bats. Thinking a squeeze might be on, nothing doing there. Vasquez, an excellent butter. We brought up earlier in the game, has 9 sacrifices. He is a very good athlete. He is very much a perfectionist as far as his personality is concerned. He strives very hard to be the best at whatever it is that he's trying to do. Pop up into foul ground, and that's the second out of the inning with Francoeur still standing at third base.
Had a nice going right there for Micah Owings. He jams Vasquez. He gets the previous hitter Kelly Johnson out on the end of the bat a little bit and flies it out to shallow left field. So now he's 2/3 out of this jam. That's one that just got away from him right there. One of those backup sliders. He wanted to throw that ball in the outer corner, and it just kind of went up and in on Vasquez. So sometimes you make a bad pitch and you get a good result.
So here's McLeod, who bounced out to Owings leading off the game. Drew a walk and scored on the 2-run home run by Escobar in the 3rd inning.
He has really made Owings work. 3-2 on each at bat.
Pitch on the way to McLeod, and a breaking ball is on the inside corner at the knee. Strike 1. Now Owings would be the one guy that McLeod is not all that familiar with. See, Atlanta's been very good in these situations when they've had him. That's one of those stats and can sometimes be extremely misleading. You talk to the Atlanta Braves people and they'll tell you, much like the Reds, they have had a terrible time scoring runs. So you might hit when runners are in scoring position, but you might not have many times where they're in scoring position. 1-1 pitch. On the outside corner is strike 2.
Nice little backdoor slider right there. McLeod gave up on that ball because the natural movement of Micah Owings' fastball runs away from him. He read that as a fastball. It was actually a slider and stayed right on the outer edge.
One and 2 to McLeod. Broken bat, foul. We're talking about McLeod. All those years playing for the Pirates, you play the Reds, a team inside the Central Division 18, 19 times a year. So McLeod has a real good read on everybody in this rotation, with the exception of the guy out there on the mound tonight.
I like the way Owings just moved the ball in and out on him. He went outside with a backdoor slider, came right in with a cutter in on the hands, and it broke his bat. Constantly trying to make the hitter adjust. Probably go back out here maybe with a changeup.
1-2 again, and that's what it was, and it misses outside to even the count. 80 pitches thrown in this game by Micah Owings, and we are in the 4th inning. But he's only allowed the 2-run home run to Escobar. Francoeur stands at 3rd with 2 outs. And a 2-2 pitch. We'll do it again.
That pitch right there is the one that Owings wanted Nate McLeod to hit. Not foul back, not swing and miss. He wanted him to put that ball in play, because it was a great location right there, up and away. McLeod not really the kind of guy to drive that ball out to left field. He was under a little bit. The fewer pitches that Owings throws, the better off he is. Unfortunately, he's thrown a lot already tonight.
Francoeur at 3rd, 2 away, the 2-2 again, and it's in the air, short right center field. Taveras coming, Bruce coming, Jay gets there, and how about Owings? A runner at 3rd after the single and an error with nobody out, and Francoeur is stranded at 3rd. Middle of the 4th, still a 1-run game. Friday at 6 o'clock for your chance to be a part of Reds Live and get your question answered perhaps on the air. Join the fun at O'Malley's Friday at 6 o'clock. We talked a little bit about O'Malley's last night. Micah Owings able to wiggle off the hook with a runner at third and nobody out to begin the fourth inning. And Atlanta fails to score. It's a one-run game. Heart of the order coming up for the Reds. Brandon Phillips, Lance Nix, Ramon Hernandez against Javier Vasquez. Atlanta's already stranded 5 runners through the first 4 innings of this game. 1-1 to Phillips. In between innings, Willie Taveras coming over and giving Owings a pat on the back as if to say my bad, and Owings said don't worry about it, get him a next time. What a great job by Micah Owings. There's that Vasquez changeup, and it's a mighty good one.
Well, we get the chance of out of our center field camera to tell you when it's coming, or at least we see it coming. He holds it in his glove, and it doesn't look like a circle change. It looks like he just kind of holds it back in his palm a little bit and puts his index finger and his ring finger on either side of the baseball. But boy, has he got great arm action, and that ball right down the middle. Brandon Phillips had no clue.
Back with a fastball at 92, and Phillips tardy able to stay alive. You know, we were talking about Vasquez. Had a chance to be around him through a season, a lone season he spent in Arizona. He is a very polished, savvy young man. Forget being on the mound. I mean, his numbers speak for themselves, but he's very smart, has worked very hard to speak very clear and fluent English. Very well read. Just an interesting young man. A very pleasant young man. That's why it was so surprising last year. You know, whether you like Ozzie Guillen or don't like Ozzie Guillen, everybody has their opinion of the Chicago manager. But when he really called out Vasquez when they were in the hunt to try and win the American League Central about, you know, he can't win the big game, and when's he going to win the big game? This is a manager talking about his own pitcher. I mean, there are some guys that, you know, perhaps need that kick in the tail. You know, Vasquez is one of those guys that he doesn't need that kick in the tail. No one's harder on himself than Vasquez is.
Well, I guess the argument against that, Tom, or the other side of that, is the fact that here's a guy that is among the league leaders in strikeouts year in and year out, and yet in his career he's 3 games under 500. Yep. So I think what Ozzie Guillen is saying, hey, this guy's got as good a stuff as anybody. He shuts the opposition down. When is he going to win games for us? And maybe it was born out of frustration. But, you know, whether it's right or not, and it's probably not right, but, you know, the rumor about Vasquez has always been that, you know, he's quote unquote soft. He hasn't been able to really get it up for the big game when he needs to. And I think that so often is repeated without anybody really verifying it. I mean, in the case of Javier Vasquez, he's a very religious young man, very quiet, very to himself, very polished, as you say. And sometimes that's interpreted because he's not a big, loud guy, doesn't go out with the guys, doesn't do all the man's man stuff, that he's soft. And I think that is a reputation that oftentimes just gets repeated because people have heard it. And I think you're exactly right. But I do think that Ozzie Guillen probably just trying to motivate the guy.
First pitch change up, and Nick's looking for a fastball, didn't get it. He's down a strike. So leadoff walk to Phillips here in the 4th.
The Reds have only had about one good swing on him all night long, and that was Jay Bruce on a little spinner of a breaking ball that Vasquez didn't get where he wanted it.
Oh, and 1 account on Lance Nix. Reds down a run, have the leadoff man aboard here in the last of the 4th inning. A ball and a strike. Jay Bruce with a home run back in the second inning, due up fourth here in the fourth. Vasquez finally getting on the same page with Brian McCann for this 1-1 pitch, and it's pulled a foul down the right field line. A couple of finals from earlier today in baseball, one of them involving a National League Central Division team after getting rained out last night in the City Series, I think they call it now. The White Sox, behind John Danks, shut down the Cubbies. 4-1 winners today at Wrigley. Danks threw the front 7 innings of that game and allowed 4 hits and struck out 9. So the Cubs a game under 500. Detroit is in St. Louis tonight, and Milwaukee again is in Cleveland. 1-2 to Knicks. 2-2. Two and two to Knicks. Phillips with a good lead over there at first, not running, and there's ball 3. You know, because of the rain out last night, the White Sox have changed their rotation around for the weekend. Jose Contreras will start on Friday night. Clayton Richard, the rookie left-hander, on Saturday, and then Mark Burley, their ace, on Sunday
against Aaron Harang.
Three and two to Knicks. Will they start the runner? Yes, they will. Sent a foul ball. Tell you, that game on Saturday is going to be a great matchup too. Clayton Richard is a phenomenal athlete, former quarterback at the University of Michigan. We were told by the White Sox people a week ago he is by far the best athlete on the team.
Really?
And has very good stuff, and he will go toe-to-toe Saturday night in the Gillette Civil Rights game against Johnny Cueto. Phillips figures to be running again. He is. Swinging a foul tip for strike 3. The throw down to second, not in time. The ball beat him, but it looked like he got his left hand on the bag. And for Phillips, that's his 7th steal in 11 attempts. And he's slow to get up. Let's go ahead and answer our Aflac trivia question. Who holds the Reds' rookie batting average record? And the answer is Aflac. Going back a ways. I'd have been here from now until next Thursday.
You don't know
Walter Cuckoo Christensen.
Yeah, Cuckoo. You know, and that number of 350 is what Tracy Jones hit his first year as a Red. He only had 86 at bats. Hit 290 the next year. Then he slept at 226, and they, for some mysterious reason, shipped him off to Montreal.
Of course, that was the year he got hurt when he tore up his knee in Montreal. That 3rd year with the Reds, when he went to make a catch down the left field line, and the bullpen was in the field of play, and he went tumbling over and just tore up the knee. Tying run at second, 0-1 on Hernandez, and it's in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. You know, we kid around a lot with Tracy Jones. We see him a lot. He's a good friend, but I think a lot of people forget, or maybe never knew, as he's moved well beyond his playing days. You know, when he was coming up with Eric Davis, Paul O'Neill, and Chris Sabo and Cal Daniels, he was a number 3 hitter on all those teams in the minor league with that group.
Well, he had some bat speed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he could turn on a fastball, and he was one of the faster players in the lineup. I mean, he had some speed in that lineup. He may be not quite as quick as Eric Davis, but he was fast.
Oh, yeah. Of course, his son, I guess, is one of the top high school players in the country. There's a ground ball, a diving play by Escobar, and he will throw out Hernandez. He just saved the tying run from coming in. Phillips does go to third. That's a nice play by Yunel Escobar for the second out.
Well, he's some kind of a talent. There's no question about that. Escobar gets a great jump on this ball, lays out for it. Not only does he lay out for it and stop the ball from going into the outfield, he comes up with it, throws a perfect strike to first. So he turns in what looks to be an RBI base hit, not only into a no RBI, but into an out.
So now Jay Bruce, who hit that high, majestic home run 5 rows deep into the right field seats, his only time up. Looks at a fastball away, ball 1. Even though Bruce's batting average is at .219, with right-handed batting Jerry Hairston Jr. on deck, you wonder how much Bruce is going to get to hit in this at bat. Breaking ball in there, strike, 1-1. Thought about it, laid off the fastball up and away, 2 balls and a strike. Well, the one thing Brooke Jacoby, the Reds hitting coach, continues to stress over and over to Bruce and so many of these Reds hitters, to swing at strikes, which not many of them have done over the past, well, nearly 3 weeks, with the Reds hitting barely over 200 over the last 17 games as a team. 207 their batting average since Joey Votto went on the disabled list.
It sounds simple enough, doesn't it? We say it every week on the youth baseball fields, whether it's Little League, Knot Hole, Double ABC. Coaches have said it over and over again. Swing at strikes. Even in batting practice, just swing at strikes.
Inning is over. Leadoff walk. Phillips stranded at third. End of 4. Atlanta leads it 2-1. Bruce home run number 16 on the year. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. 2-1 ball game. We open the 5th inning. 2 runs, 4 hits, 5 left for Atlanta. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 errors, and 2 men left on base for the Reds. 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order. Yunel Escobar, Chipper Jones, and Brian McCann. Escobar, a 2-run home run to straightaway center field with McLeod aboard in the 3rd inning, accounting for both Atlanta runs. And this one lined into left center field, a base hit. It's going to be very interesting to watch Escobar in these coming years. Little things that you notice about him, and you hear about him about not always playing hard and having mental lapses at times. And that base hit right there is the prime example. A lot of players, young players, they can turn that base hit right there into a double.
Or at least take a turn at first base and then take a look, because the play is going to happen right in front of you.
Because it didn't look like Taveras or Nix got a particularly good jump on that ball in the left center field gap.
And that's a good lesson for any young player, Tom. If you hit a line drive in the left center field, take a big turn at first base. Bust it down the line as best you can. Take a big turn, because that left fielder is not going to throw behind you and throw you out. Now, you may get caught off guard if you try to do the same thing to a base hit to right field. But if it's the left field, especially deep in left center field, there's no way you're going to get doubled up or get picked off. So go ahead and take a big aggressive turn. Escobar did not do that. You're right about that. He was content for a single right out of the box, and that's one of the rubs with Bobby Cox, who yanked them out of the ball game in the middle of the game just last week.
Of course, he did that with Andrew Jones many years ago, after not going hard after a ball in center field. And that one pulled into right, a base hit, and Escobar will stop at second as Bruce charges quickly in right. And Atlanta with 2 on and nobody out to begin the 5th.
Now, very much like the game in which Micah Owings pitched last time against the Washington Nationals. He only gave up a couple of hits in that ball game, but he walked 4 batters. He was constantly in trouble, and Dusty Baker probably constantly gulping down some Pepto-Bismol in the dugout.
And now you're getting into the very teeth of this Atlanta batting order. McCann, the cleanup hitter, 0 for 2 tonight, is fouled out to first, flied out to right. It's always so interesting when organizations bring a couple of guys to the big leagues that are young players, look like they're going to be great players. The Reds had that in Votto and Bruce. The Braves had that 3.5 years ago when Francoeur and McCann came up to the big leagues. Of course, they played against one another, both native Georgians growing up. 2-0 down to McCann. Francoeur was getting all the headlines, hitting all the home runs. You know, almost a matinee idol looks to him, but you know, the Atlanta people told you even from the very beginning. They said, trust us when we tell you McCann is going to be the guy. Didn't mean that Francoeur wasn't going to be a good player. There's a high fly ball down the right field line. That ball is out of play. Well, we were talking about Tracy Jones hitting number 3 on those great young teams, loaded with great young players back in the early 1980s in the Reds organization. McCann was that guy on those Braves teams coming up with Francoeur.
Well, they're both big, strong guys, but I think that you mentioned earlier the advice that Brooke Jacoby gives to Reds hitters is the difference between Francoeur and McCann. Francoeur doesn't swing at strikes. McCann has pitch recognition skills. He sees it early on, strike or ball, and he rarely makes it out early in the count on a bad pitch. Not to say he doesn't get jammed from time to time and put a bad swing on the ball, but I mean, if you compare those two, and the hard thing to remind yourself about Brian McCann is he's 25 years old. He already has 519 major league games under his belt.
And look where he ranks among all major league catchers. in every major offensive category.
At 25.
2-2 pitch. Fouled back out of play. And again, those numbers aren't this year. Those are 3.5 years running now. You know, it seems like everybody's talking in recent year. Jorge Posada, Jason Varitek. And, you know, I mean, you can go on and on, name 2 or 3 other guys. But, you know, 2 of the guys I'll have on my team all day, every day, whose names never get brought up, McCann and Russell Martin with the Dodgers. 3-2 on McCann. Now, Bobby Cox is a manager who, on counts like this, even with the heart of the order up, in the past will start runners.
And you know why it makes a lot of sense right here against Micah Owings? Because he does not miss bats. He does not have a strikeout on the night. So Brian McCann, who rarely strikes out, he's only struck out 19 times all year. He's going to make contact here if it's a strike.
3-2 the count. The runners are not going this time, and this could be a double play here. Phillips, Gonzalez, and not starting the runners hurts him that time. A huge double play induced by Micah Owings. Escobar stands at third, but there are 2 away in the inning.
I'll tell you, this is so Micah Owings. You think you got him on the ropes. He comes up with a great pitch. You think that finally he's going to give up a big number in this inning, and the guy finds a way to get it done. It's not always pretty, but he has kept his team in the ballgame more often than not. A 3-2 count, a chance to do some damage, and that wasn't much of a thing. That was a spinner of a breaking ball.
In the air, right field, inning over. First 2 on, nobody out, and no runs again for Atlanta. Stick around after the game for a special post-game concert by Grammy award-winning artist Stephen Curtis Chapman. Get your tickets now at 381 Reds or visit Reds.com. Be a big day here with Colorado in town. And folks from Prasco, the Harrington family, nice group of people, and well, that complex they built out there in Mason. The Harrington family, and what a place that is.
You're not
the
kidding
Harringtons
about that. At Prasco.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, it's a whole campus out there. I mean, it is just a beautiful area. The ballpark, it's got to be the second best baseball park in this area.
That's what I heard.
Behind Great American Ballpark.
Well, they say Tom Harrington at one time, we were talking to Mike Cameron, the longtime great, and I mean great, baseball coach at Moeller High School, who recently stepped down 2 years ago when he won 4 or 5 state championships. Of course, they won it again this year. But he said that Tom Arrington coached his son years ago. As there's ball 4 to Hairston to begin the inning, and Coach Cameron said that Tom Arrington was one of the best baseball coaches that he had ever been around.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. They've got one of the most elite 15 and under year old teams that you're going to find anywhere in the country. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the Arringtons and Prasco are sending this elite baseball team of 15-year-olds to China this year.
Wow.
Now that's a travel team.
Second straight inning. And Javier Vasquez, who rarely walks anybody, has started an inning with a walk. Brandon Phillips stole second on a 3-2 pitch to Lance Nix back in the 4th inning. Hairston has 4 stolen bases in 5 attempts, but he has been stuck on that number for quite some time. Field, tailing away from Francoeur. It'll fall in a hit. Hairston on his way to third. The throw goes in there, and Jones had to come up and get it. And the Reds have it working here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Runners on the corners with nobody out.
Now, there's one guy in this lineup that takes the advice of Brooke Jacoby to heart nearly every time up there, and that's Ryan Hannigan. He has walked 6 times more than he's struck out. He's only struck out 10 times all year long. He's got 2 hits on the night tonight. 1 to center field, 1 to right field. That'll send Jerry Hairston to third. And man, oh man, the bottom of this Reds order is getting it done with a pretty good hitting pitcher coming to the plate.
Owings 9 base hits on the season. Has a home run, 4 RBIs, and looks at a breaking ball in the outside corner of strike. Tying run at third, lead run at first with nobody out. And that's in the air into right center field. Hit pretty well. Is it his second home run? It is! Micah Owings with a 3-run opposite field home run.
You can't make a mistake to Micah Owings like you can to so many other pitchers around the league. There was a debate in Arizona coming up whether to turn this guy into an outfielder or not. His second home run of the year, that a 3-run bomb, and it gives the Reds a 2-run cushion. Wow.
Unbelievable.
The argument against the DH right there.
You're not lying. Willie Taveras showing bunt. An opposite field 3-run home run off the bat of Micah Owings. That is his second home run this season. And the 7th of his major league career.
It was just a fastball that came back out over the plate. One of the few mistakes that Vasquez makes on the night. Reds might be getting this guy on an off night. He's struck out only 3, which is normally 1 or 2 fewer than he would normally do. He had 12 strikeouts his last time out in a 3-1 loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates. But he's walked 2 batters, and for the first time in 3 ball games, he's made some mistakes, and the one over the plate really cost him.
Ball hit hard by Taveras, but right at his counterpart, 1 away. Farmers Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Civil Rights Game on Fox Sports Ohio this Saturday. Reds fans, be sure to stop by the Farmers booth in the fan zone of the ballpark all weekend long to learn more about career opportunities with Farmers Insurance. And out at the fan zone on Saturday, we brought up Sugar Ray Leonard. In fact, on Sunday, he's going to be out there to answer questions from fans from 12:30 to 12:50 on Sunday. Sugar Ray going to hang around all weekend. Muhammad Ali will be here. Bill Cosby will be here. Frank Robinson, Hank Aaron, and the list goes on and on and on. 2 away on the roller to Vasquez. I know you'll be on the telecast that night, Chris, with George Grant. George coming back into town tomorrow.
Looking forward to the entire weekend. Of course, the White Sox come into town, always something special, but the Civil Rights Game and all the festivities surrounding that, a luncheon in the afternoon. Of course, it starts actually before noon, around 11 o'clock over at the Convention Center. Really looking forward to just a great weekend. An enlightening weekend and a weekend of celebration.
Two down in the inning, and now Brandon Phillips. Reds have gotten a 3-run home run here in this bottom half of the 5th from Micah Owings. That's the final out, but a good inning indeed for the Reds. A walk to Hairston, a single by Hannigan, a long one from Owings, and the Reds lead 4-2. You'll be entered to win a prize package featuring a barbecue grill, patio furniture, and a flat screen HD TV from Fox Sports Ohio. For official rules, go to foxsports.com/Ohio. There's a roller foul up the first base line by Casey Kochman. Reds lead 4-2. Atlanta bats against Micah Owings here at the top of the 6th inning. Good crowd on hand tonight.
Kind of a festive crowd, too. A great day after a lot of rain last night, a long 2-hour rain delay. The skies were dark all afternoon and evening, and today it seems like a Friday. Nothing like a Friday in the middle of the week.
try to play third base side. Still 0-2 to Casey Kotchman. ...101 pitches in the game now for Micah Owings. He has been on the ropes virtually every inning. There's a jam shot roller that just ate up Kotchman. And he's retired to start the 6th inning.
Now he could really use an easy inning, no doubt.
Start your weekend at Great American Ballpark with fireworks Fridays just like this Friday. With the Reds and the White Sox presented by Rozzie's Famous Fireworks. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to reds.com. Of course, Rozzie's Famous Fireworks, those are the folks that get everything loaded up for the WEBN fireworks show over Labor Day weekend. Where are the Reds for the EBN fireworks this year? Are they in town? I haven't even looked at it. I think that's the weekend, if I'm not mistaken, of the 31st of August, right? That's Labor Day weekend this year. Pretty sure. I don't think it's the 5th or the 6th of September. High fly ball into right field. Bruce is there. Francoeur retired, and there are 2 away in the inning.
Owings now on track to his best inning yet. You know, Micah Owings, we told you at the very beginning of the ball game that he has pitched against the Braves in 3 different starts, and he's 3-0 and has a lifetime earned run average against this Bravo team at 2.7. But you got to remember that he's from Georgia. In fact, he's from right outside of Atlanta in Gainesville, Georgia. That's right up the road, just a little bit north. Went to Georgia Tech, played for East Cobb, Georgia, the baseball system there that is so renowned for producing so many fine amateur and professional players. So he's got that little extra motivation going on tonight when he pitches against his idol team.
Of course, his dad was a great athlete at Georgia Tech, and Micah originally went there, as you mentioned, then transferred to Tulane University. Pull a foul at the first base line. And by the way, Labor Day is the first Monday in September. So that means on Monday, September the 7th, the EBN fireworks, if I'm not mistaken, are normally on a Sunday, September the 6th. The Reds are in Atlanta.
Well, we could probably see the fireworks from there.
You might be right.
That's how good they are.
Flying back after the game on your way to Denver. Is this going to be the first perfect inning of the night for Micah Owings? Why not after you hit a 3-run home run? 6 innings, 2 runs allowed, and a 3-run big fly. Pretty good night for Micah. shots like that, don't you, Chris? I mean, that ball is almost by Yunel Escobar. Able to glove it cleanly while diving onto the ground, landing on the ground, sliding on the ground, popping up off the ground, and then throwing a guy out. Coors Light Freeze Can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Well, the Reds leading 4-2 here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. It'll be Lance Nix, Ramon Hernandez, and Jay Bruce. Strike one.
Well, he can turn on a fastball. That's what he did last night. Several times Lance Nix hit the ball very hard. I don't think he hit it any harder than he did his final time up against Mike Gonzalez. Ripped a double off the right field wall, and that was a fastball from Vasquez. I'm not so sure he's going to get any more of those to look at.
Oh, and one on Lance Nix. Pulled down the right field line, foul.
Yeah, you know what? That's a four-seam fastball. Maybe it's called a cutter. Looks like Brian McCann is putting down 3 fingers for that pitch, which means throw me a four-seamer, get it inside, cut it a little bit, come in on the hands of a left-hander. He can do nothing with it but pull it foul. Now that we've got 2 strikes on him, we're probably going to go away with a changeup. So we'll take a look at McCann and see if he tells us what's coming on. That's the universal sign for a changeup. As simple as that. If you've got the arm action. And we're going to take a look right now at the grips that Vasquez has. Over here on the left, that's the fastball grip, the 2-seam fastball that he uses most of the time. And that's a changeup that he just pulled the string on and was able to get Lance Nix way out in front of it. So that was a changeup that struck out Nix that he has thrown very effectively to left-handers. Right there. Boy, if only those hitters could have the view that we do, Tom.
You're not lying, especially in that slow motion speed.
That was my regular game speed right there.
Well, the man's got to know his limitations. I know some of you a minute ago noticed that rocket that Lance Nix hit down the right field line on the first pitch, hit a little boy down there. And some of you may be wondering, he's fine. They took a look at him and looked like that ball hit him in the arm. He's okay down there, thankfully.
Pay attention when you're at the yard.
Yeah. The little boy's just fine. Thank God for that. Well, that's scary stuff, because that ball was hammered by Nix. Apparently, whoever picked up the ball after it hit that little boy gave him the baseball. That's what you'd expect from somebody here in Cincinnati. Oh, what a breaking ball that was.
But he's also got a curveball. We didn't give you the grip on the hook, but there it is right there. And boy, what great arm action right there. He changes speeds with it as well. It takes a lot off to go 65 miles an hour on that bad boy. Good night, Irene.
Field, a sinking liner caught by Anderson. A 1-2-3 6th inning for Vasquez. His spot due to lead off the 7th. Reds lead 4-2. who started the scoring with a solo home run, his 16th of the year in the second inning. Atlanta jumped in front, however, in the third on a 2-run home run by Yunel Escobar. Stayed that way as time after time in the game, Owings kept getting out of trouble. 2 on, nobody out. Got a ground ball double play off the bat of McCann. Then in the 5th with 2 on and none out, Owings a home run to right center. His 2nd of the year, his 7th of his major league career. And the Reds lead 4-2. Micah Owings out of the game. He'll give way to Nick Massett. And somewhat surprisingly, Bobby Cox is going to have Javier Vazquez back, leading off the 7th inning down by 2.
Now, he's a pretty good batter himself. Lifetime batting average over 200 for Vazquez, but still in all, he's no Micah Owings up there. We've seen that. Nick Massett in the ball game for Micah Owings. 6 innings of 6-hit 2-run baseball. Did not strike out a batter.
Now, Nick Massett, for the first time since the month of April, gave up a run last night, pushing his ERA for the first time in recent memory over 1. Hairston making sure on that second bounce, throws out Vazquez to start the 7th. Tonight's Mega Million jackpot up to $57 million. That's a pile of cash. Go buy a ticket. You never know. You never, ever know.
Reds fans, for a great tasting meal at an unbeatable value, pick up delicious JTM hoagie kits or delicious hoagies at your favorite grocer. JTM, food, family, fun.
Ball 1 to Nate McLeod. 0 for 2 in the game. Walked and scored on the Escobar home run in that 3rd inning. Pitch pulled fair up the right field line into the corner, and that will be a 2-base hit for Nate McLeod, and Atlanta will bring the tying run to the plate here in the 7th inning.
Well, McLeod is poised to break out. I mean, he's hit the ball hard a couple of times. He's been on base twice now with a double and a walk, and McLeod, the speedster, has not been thrown out yet. Doubtful that he's going to be running in this situation, but still in all, they like to get that runner into third base and get him 90 feet away with just 1 out.
Escobar digging in. He homered, as we mentioned, back in the 3rd inning. His 7th home run of the season, and he looks at ball 1. All the way to the screen on that pitch to Escobar, and on the 3rd goes McLeod.
Well, sometimes when you get behind, you just overthrow the pitch, and that's exactly what it looked like right there. Trying to snap that slider a little harder than is possible. He did that a little bit last night too, Nick Massett did, and I think that's what's prompted the walk out to the mound. Remember that Massett was on the disabled list. He missed a Missed some time due to a strained side muscle, an oblique, that he hit for a while, and then eventually it sidelined him.
We can read Dick Pohl's lips there. He just said, calm down.
That's a hard thing for a pitcher to do, especially a middle reliever who is a full effort guy. Most all relievers now, I mean, middle relievers are. They come in, they throw as hard as they can for one inning. You bring another guy in, does the same thing. He throws a hard fastball mid-90s. He throws a hard slider, and then it's very tough to back off. And he's simply overthrown. He's flying open with his left side and really doesn't have a good release point.
Well, it's 3-0 on Escobar, and you've got some big-time bats coming up behind him with the Braves trailing by 2. And there's a 4-pitch walk to Escobar. And that might be all for Massey.
I wouldn't be surprised because with all the left-handers coming up, looks like we've got Arthur Rose warming up down in the Reds bullpen.
You may remember the left-handed hitters were the ones that gave massive problems last night, starting with a guy who's coming to the plate now. Now, Chris, you pointed out they weren't hard hit balls last night. I mean, one was an infield hit, another seeing eye single that was, hooked through the hole. But they were hits nonetheless, including Chipper Jones. Runners on the corners with 1 out in the inning. Ball 1. Outstanding numbers for Chipper Jones in these situations. An even .400 batting average. And the 1-0 pitch. Nowhere near the strike zone. That is now 6 in a row that Massett has missed. And he's missed quite badly. This guy has been about as close to a sure thing as there could be on any major league bullpen thus far this year, but not last night and not so far tonight. And it's in the dirt that'll bring in a run. 7 straight balls thrown by Nick Massett. And it's a 4-3 game.
Well, he has been just about a sure thing. You can see it, but boy, those are wild ones right there. Both that have gotten by the catcher on the night from Massett have been in that first base batter's box, the left side of the batter's box, spinning hard.
Well, this will be the final batter. I don't think there's any question about it for Massett. And Chipper Jones, you have a switch hitter. But starting with McCann and then Anderson and then Kochman, they're straight left-handed hitters. Mercifully a strike.
Now, there was a time that it was a little different for Chipper Jones, but this year you can see why they want him up there left-handed.
3-1 delivery and a tapper back to the mound. They have the runner caught. He didn't make the throw. It looked like he couldn't find the handle. And rather than risking it with a speedy Escobar, he'll take the second out of the inning, and here comes Dusty Baker. So another rocky outing, 2 in a row for Nick Massett. He allows a hit, a walk, so far a run. The tying run stands 90 feet away. And our skyline call to the bullpen brings on 39-year-old southpaw Arthur Lee Rose. And the Brewers go to Detroit to take on the Tigers. Some will see Tampa Bay and the Mets. Others the Cardinals and the Royals. Fox Saturday Baseball at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Arthur Rhodes comes on with a tying run at third and 2 away in the 7th inning to face Brian McCain.
Now, this is exactly the situation Arthur Rhodes was signed to do. Signed a 2-year deal before the season began. 29 games now, including this one for Arthur Rhodes, and he has been very, very good.
Escobar stands at third base. McCann is 0 for 3 in the game. First pitch fastball in the inside corner, strike.
Well, lefty's hitting about 100 off of Arthur this year.
And the beat goes on for Arthur Rhodes. Atlanta gets a run. They stand and stretch in the natty. Reds in front, 4-3. Business Day game happening tomorrow right here at 12:35. Drop off your business card at the fan accommodation station and you could win tickets to the next Paycor Business Day game. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to reds.com. Tickets are available tomorrow and all 3 games over the weekend, including the Gillette Civil Rights game on Saturday. So Javier Vasquez in there, bottom half of the 7th inning, trailing now 4-3. Jerry Hairston Jr., Ryan Hannigan, and then a pinch hitter for Arthur Rhodes. Maybe. You've got back-to-back left-handed hitters leading off the next inning. And I would severely doubt that we would see Daniel Ray Herrera after pitching 3 innings out of the bullpen last night, and David Weathers getting loose now. Hairston, a weak pop up to the shortstop Escobar, 1 away. Take a look at the National League Eastern Division standings presented by Honda, where the Atlanta Braves beginning play 3 under 500 tonight, or 6.5 behind the front-running defending world champion Phillies. Mets 4 over, 3 back. See, that Marlins team hangs in there. They got off to the great start. Went almost a month where they had a hard time winning games, and now playing a little bit better lately, although they lost last night to Boston, and they are trailing again tonight 4-1, that game in the 7th inning. Cleveland has come back to tie Milwaukee. A 3-3 game in the bottom of the 6th inning up in Cleveland, Ohio. St. Louis with a 2-1 lead very early on against Detroit. And Arthur Rhodes, by the way, is standing in the on-deck circle, although Chris Dickerson is standing in the Reds dugout with a helmet on and bat in hand. So is Adam Rosales.
Well, the Braves have nobody up in their bullpen, Tom, and you thought it was curious that Javier Vasquez batted for himself in the last inning to lead off against Nick Massett. You know, and I'd look back on the previous games that the Braves played previous to coming to Cincinnati. They were in Baltimore, and they had Derek Lowe pitch 2 innings, so they covered that with a lot of bullpens. The day before that, Kawakami only pitched 5 innings, so they've had a lot of relievers running out there over the last few days. And maybe this is one of those games where they're going to stick with Vasquez, and if their offense can come back, great. Otherwise, they're not going to risk taking him out because he's still their best option, at least from a pitching standpoint. Well, what a curveball he drops right here on Ryan Hanigan. It seems like he saves the best curves for the Reds catchers. He got Ramon Hernandez out on a real slow one like that, and he dusts off Ryan Hanigan with the same.
6 strikeouts in the game now for Vasquez, and here is Arthur Rhodes, his 5th career at bat. First at bat since, what, 2001 with Seattle. 0-2 to count.
He looks good looking.
There is no doubt in my mind that as a very, very young man, there was very little that Arthur Rhodes could not do athletically.
I would agree.
Growing up in Waco, Texas.
Except maybe negotiating a slow curve.
You might be right. Well, back then, maybe. And there's strike 3 call. So Vasquez, 7 strikeouts. Retires the last 9 he faces, but he trails by a run. We head for the 8th.
Ford dealer and the Ford F-150 2009 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers.
Top of the 8th inning at Great American Ballpark. 4 runs, 4 hits for the Reds. 3 runs, 7 hits for Atlanta. And obviously staying in a game after batting to end the 7th inning is Arthur Rhodes. Staying in to face left-handed batters Garrett Anderson, Casey Kochman. And then you have a right-handed hitter in Francoeur, followed by a lefty in Kelly Johnson.
You know, Tom, with Arthur Rhodes staying in to face the left-handers, and we've talked about it early on, they've got Chipper Jones, a switch hitter, and then 3 consecutive left-handers. This makes the argument for those that like to split left-handers up.
Hernandez, and a nice catch there by Rhodes to get the first out. Oh, you're right. There's no doubt. There's 2 sides to that proverbial coin. We talked about the crowd tonight. It's a good one. 27,455 on a Wednesday night. On a beautiful Wednesday night. Cool, humidity way down. Nice. Ready for a big weekend.
Promises to be a big day tomorrow. Good day for a businessman special, right?
Better believe it.
Working with your dad tomorrow?
No, working with a Cowboy. Dad's got the day off tomorrow. I figured you and him are probably going to tee him up somewhere. Ground ball to Phillips, 2 away in the inning. Of course, neither one of you stiffs will pay for any golf, so time now for the Reds fans for you to give the answer to today's red, white, and blue barbecue giveaway. Driver safety question of the game brought to you by the Ohio Department of Public Safety. True or false, the correct way to wear a seatbelt is to have the lap belt across your hips, the shoulder strap across your chest. The answer, of course, is true. Join us again tomorrow for another chance to win the red, white, and blue barbecue prize package from Fox Sports Ohio. Arthur Rhodes faces 3 batters, retires them all. He's becoming a fan favorite here in Cincinnati, and he appreciates it. Weekend presented by Duke Energy, the Reds and the White Sox. It starts on Friday as we honor those who battled on and off the field for the rights of all of us to live equally. For more information on all the events over the weekend, visit MLB.com/civil rights game. All right, it's a 1-run game here. With 2 outs and nobody on in the 8th inning, Jeff Francoeur fouls away the first pitch from the new Reds pitcher, David Weathers, replacing Arthur Rhodes.
Another hold for Arthur Rhodes, among the league leaders in that category. David Weathers has 9 of them. He just needs to retire Jeff Francoeur right here, because very likely that they'll turn this ball game over to Francisco Cordero to finish it off.
Francoeur had that infield hit to knock in a run against David Weathers last night. That was that slow roller to the right side of the infield. That one is fouled back out of play. And David ahead of Francoeur at 1 ball and 2 strikes. You see good numbers for Francoeur against David Weathers. Red's bullpen last night, following Aaron Harang's 7 innings, allowing only 2 runs. The bullpen has the 3rd best ERA in the National League. 3rd best. 1-2 to count. Foul out of play. The one thing you must always remember, as we brought up earlier about this bullpen last night, really 2 things. You take away the first 10 games of the season, the bullpen's ERA is .272 in the other 51 games. The second part of it is Paul Janisch pitched 1 inning out of the bullpen and allowed 5 earned runs.
And that counts as a bullpen
Yes,
run.
it does.
Yep.
They are not going to be perfect every night. They're not going to be perfect every batter. But this bullpen, as good as it gets among all teams in Major League Baseball so far this year. That one popped up. This will be a tough play, but Hernandez will make it. Rhodes and Weathers, both 39 years old, pitching like far younger men. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The Reds still lead by a run. And on a double play ball, retired Garrett Anderson for the final out. And then, of course, in the bottom of the 5th inning, Michael Owings hit a 3-run home run. Javier Vazquez set to throw his 88th pitch of the night. And it's bunted out in front of the plate. And McCann will throw out Taveras. The times he has tried that this year, he seems to be about 3 feet short of where he would want it to be to get it for a base hit. You get it out there another 3 or 4 feet on the grass, you beat it out.
I'll tell you, yeah, I hate to see him do that and then think and get discouraged and not try it a couple of times every ball game, or at least once a game. I mean, that's part of his arsenal. There's nobody on this ball club that can run like Willie Taveras. Just because you make a bad bunt doesn't mean you're going to do it again the next time.
Now Alex Gonzalez, he looks at ball 1 since the home run by Micah Owings in the 5th inning. Javier Vazquez has retired 10 straight batters. Well, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, you know, the ballpark where you're pitching in can be such an enormous factor. I mean, let's be honest about it. Owings hit a home run, but in Atlanta, that's an out and a sacrifice fly, you know, would have tied the game at 2. But that's the way it goes. Of course, Owings was having to pitch in the same ballpark. The Reds pitchers pitch here 81 games a year.
I think Escobar's ball is probably caught in Atlanta, too.
You're right.
It's the same park for both sides. There's no question about that, Tom. But you know what? It can still get into your mind when you're a pitcher in a small ballpark where it's your home yard. You know, I think Aaron Harang made a great point this year about what he did last year, worried about the pressure of having an offense that wasn't performing, and this year just pitching and doing what he can do, and that's all you can do. And it's made a difference for him and the ball club.
Two and two on Alex Gonzalez with 1 out and nobody on, and it's served into right center field, and Francoeur, a nice running catch. Very nicely done by Jeff Francoeur. That's a good play.
He's a pretty athletic guy for a very big outfielder, and he's long-legged and long-armed. He's about 6 feet 4 inches tall, but once he gets going, he can really tear up some real estate.
Of course, he was a big-time football player, too, a quarterback. He's talking about going to Clemson or Georgia. Phillips with 2 down and nobody on. Phillips has grounded out twice, drawn a walk, stolen a base.
8-game hitting streak on the line.
Reds only have 4 hits in the game. And of course, 2 of the hits accounting for all 4 of their runs. A solo home run by Jay Bruce, a 3-run home run by Micah Owings.
Bottom of the order. In fact, Brian Hannigan had 2 hits, Owings had 1, and Jay Bruce, who was in the number 6 spot, had 1. Vazquez has been pretty good, with the exception of the opposite field home run to Micah Owings, who by the way was the first Reds pitcher to have 3 runs batted in a ball game since 2006, when Joe Mays, he had a short stint, a little cup of coffee with the Reds, former Tampa Bay Devil Ray at that time, did it against the Indians.
Pitched for Minnesota too, didn't he?
Yes, he did, for quite a while.
2 and 2 to Brandon Phillips. And I get to thinking tonight, you talked about Hannigan. You know, Ryan Hannigan tonight catching the 69th game of his very young major league career. 69. Tonight officially, Pudge Rodriguez breaks the all-time major league record for most games as a catcher. 2,227 games. Ground ball to short.
Don't tell that to Ryan right now. He looks a little tired to hear that kind of news.
You look a little tired hearing that kind of news. We go to the 9th, 4-3, Reds in front. only has one blown save the entire year is Francisco Cordero.
28 innings overall for Cordero, 26 strikeouts. And he has blown but one save, and that was one that was in a rainy night in Washington, D.C. He's got a very tight lead to protect, 4-3, as the Reds have a one-run cushion.
Atlanta has 8-9-1 in its batting order. Kelly Johnson followed by his pinch hitter. Right now that looks like Matt Diaz. And then you have Nate McLeod. Cordero came on after getting loose. Was warming up, you may remember, in the bottom of the 8th inning when the Reds at the time had a 3-2 lead. And the Reds scored 4 times in the bottom of the 8th inning, and he came on anyway and mowed them down in order. 1 out in the 9th. Throughout our community's unique individuals give back to many charitable ways. Bob Steffen, Sherry Friedman, Heather Beatty are the Reds finalists in People Magazine's All-Stars Among Us. Now, folks, this is important for our area. Through June the 24th, you can vote for any one of these by going to foxsports.com and clicking on the link for All-Stars Among Us. The winner from each major league city will be honored before the All-Star game on the field July the 14th, seen only on Fox. So get in there and vote for a great representative from our area. Of course, there are so many people that do such wonderful work all over Reds country. 1-1 to Matt Diaz. Diaz has some pop in that bat. Getting as much playing time this year as in recent years. Garrett Anderson, since coming off the disabled list, has pretty much played every day. 2-1 to Diaz. Gas. 2-2.
Power versus power right there. Diaz, a good fastball hitter, but not good enough to catch up with that heater.
Now with a 96, and Diaz able to lay off up and in to run the count full.
Pretty good fastball right there. 96 on the radar gun here at Great American Ballpark, which reminds me of a new pitcher the Reds have picked up today. There was a Reds transaction. Mike Lincoln went on the disabled list with a bulging disc in his neck, and they brought up young right-hander Josh Renicky out of AAA, a young man that can get it up there with some right now.
Ooh, a walk with 1 out here in the 9th inning. That's not what Cordero had in mind. Not only the tying run now on base, but the go-ahead run comes to the plate. McLeod has 10 home runs. Tonight 1 for 3, walked and scored in the 3rd inning. Doubled down the right field line, scored again in the 7th. McLeod 2 for 4 in his career against Cordero, and there's ball 1 high. fastball at 97 miles per hour in there, a strike. Cordero ahead at 1-2.
And he's not messing around at all. Cordero's just rearing back and bringing the gas.
Tell you one thing, he's throwing a lot harder his second year as a Red than he did his first year as a Red.
Well, maybe that ankle was which was bothering him last year, really had a lot to do with that.
One-two on McLeod. That time 98 miles per hour, but out of the zone.
Maybe they've been rubbing some clear and cream on the radar gun.
It's pretty good. It's real good. 2-2 the count. Three and two now to McLeod. One-run lead with a runner at first and one out here in the top of the ninth inning. Cordero trying to get his 16th save. There goes a runner. And a bouncing ball to Phillips will back him up. That's out number two, but a tying run now stands in scoring position. And here comes Yunel Escobar. Escobar has been lethal this season, batting with runners in scoring position. A .400 batter. It's tied for third best among all National League players. Cordero could care less about any of that. Great crowd, fun crowd, electric crowd tonight. 27,455, hoping the Reds can make it back-to-back wins in a series. They need one more out. Strike one.
Afraid that maybe Escobar was looking for a first pitch fastball, dropped the slider on him right there. A hard one.
2-1 on Escobar. Escobar, an unbelievably quick bat. 2-1 from Cordero. Tying run at second. Straightaway center field. Taveras there. Back-to-back wins for the Redlegs. What a night for Micah Owings. What a night for the Reds.